If ghosts, and not men, had appeared in the perimeter towns of Judea, they could scarcely have inspired more fear. Not that everyone in the border country wrote off ghosts as a possibility, especially those who heard the news secondhand, for these men were relics indeed. They wore tall, narrow headdresses of gold fabric. They wore curved, kopis swords, and the pommels of those weapons were fashioned like eagles. Black paint outlined their piercing eyes, perfumes scented their long robes, and behind them there trailed the strange, otherworldly aura of the sorcerer. When one bent down from his mount and asked, "Ubi est rex qui natus?" the Jew on the road could hardly reply, and so the question was repeated in heavily accented Aramaic. "Where is the king who was born?" "The lord of the kingdom was born in Idumea," the Jew finally stammered. "But he's not there now." The rider did not reply. He spun on his horse and, with an almighty flapping of fabric, galloped back to the caravan. He was a magus. Once upon a time, the Magi had been the lore masters of the Persian Achaemenid Empire. They existed at a time when history and science were not yet separated from mythology and sorcery. Not that they have been since. And so the Magi knew many things. They knew the names of their fathers back to the beginning of time. They knew the elements of divination and how to consult spirits. They knew the machinations of empire and the movements of animals and the languages of the clans of the Umanmanda beyond the edge of the world. Before the Persian Empire appeared, the Assyrians had posted seers all over the kingdom to watch the stars and advise the king. The Magi had improved upon that tradition. They were formidable. Darius the Great claimed that a magus had once taken over the empire. Herodotus, the historian of Halicarnassus, seemed to believe him. Xenophon held the Magi in high regard, and Pliny the Elder feared them. By the time of our story here, the Achaemenid Empire was a long time gone, some 300 years gone, and the Magi had been in decline. The Romans called all foreign priests, especially Zoroastrians, Magi, but for a long time few of any repute appeared. But they did here. They emerged on time as though slipping through a crack in history on the very edge of Rome's empire. The Magi traveled to Jerusalem. They met with Herod the Great, the general who had fought with Antony against Caesar Augustus, and asked him where the new king was, and Herod, unfamiliar with the relevant traditions, consulted his own lore masters. From these, he heard the name Bethlehem. The Magi went there, and though they were strangers to the story of God, strangers to the covenants in the kingdom and the revelation entrusted to Israel, they followed the secrets of stars and the last scraps of an ancient tradition, and they were rewarded. They knew, and who knows how they knew, that if they could find the one who had been born the King of the Jews, it would change everything for them. We must make like them.